Yes. Okay. Good evening, students. Welcome to today's meeting. This is our second day in PED 233. PED 233, we do it on Saturdays, 5 to 6 p.m., and on Tuesdays, 11 to 12 p.m. PED 233, the title is Religion and Moral Education. Religion and Moral Education. My name is Dr. Angela Abba. I remain your facilitator for this meeting. And this course is a three-module course, and it has 15 units. 15 units. We're actually supposed to have it for 8 hours, and we are done with it. We started when the other tutorials started, but we had a challenge along the line, and the university decided to restart us. Students went to the e-learn, and the course was not there uploaded, but it got uploaded eventually. That's why we are starting a bit late. You know, this is the second day since we are connected. And in the first week, we did the concepts of moral education and morality. Concepts of moral education and morality. It has been an interesting course. The title is Religion and Moral Education. And the course code is PED 233 for 200 level students like you. I want to welcome you once again. Our topic for today is the components of Nigerian law. Components of Nigerian law and means of communicating moral education in schools. That's the topic we are treating today. The components of Nigerian law and means of communicating moral education in schools, in secondary schools. I told you my name is Dr. Angela Abba. I've been your facilitator for this course. Components of Nigerian law. There are kinds of law in use in Nigerian society today. These are the kinds of law in use in Nigerian society today. There are about 7 of them. And by the way, by the end of this class, there are some behaviors we intend that students must have learned. There are some behaviors the student must have learned. So it's expected that by the end of this class, the students should have been able to identify and discuss components of Nigerian law. Should have been able to identify the Nigerian laws, kinds of law in use in Nigeria, and discuss them. And it's also expected that by the end of this lesson, the students should have been able to identify the vices abhorred in Nigerian society today. That is the things you are not expected to do in the society. The do's, the wickedness. Vices means wicked things, wrong things, and bad things one is not expected to do in Nigerian society today. Also, by the end of this lesson, one is expected to differentiate, my students are expected to differentiate between public and private law. We are going to come across this within the ambit of the lesson. We have to differentiate between public and private law. Students are also expected to identify and discuss means of communicating moral education in our secondary schools today. The means of communicating moral education in our schools today. And of course, the students are also expected to discuss the personality of a teacher. It's not everyone that can be a teacher. And if you see a teacher, you're supposed to know the teacher. You're supposed to know the teacher, identify a teacher by the way the teacher behaves, by the morals, by the conduct of a teacher, and the rest of it. Yes. So we are starting with the components of Nigerian law. Remember, my name is Dr. Angela Abba. The components are 7. We have 7 kinds of law in use in Nigerian society today. And these are the customary law, the customary law, the customary law, the Islamic kind of law, the English customary law, English customary law, the status of Nigeria, the status of general application, status of general application, the doctrines of equity, the doctrines of equity, Nigeria case law, the Nigeria case law, the Nigerian legislation. These are the legislation, Nigerian national, proposed by the Nigerian National Assembly. Now we have to look at what these things are like. We have the customary law. The customary law has to do with ethnic customs. Ethnic customs, the customs in various parts of the country, like the Igbo society, the Yorubas, the TV, the Bini, the Hausas, and the rest of them. All of them have their customary type of law, their kind of law, the law applicable in their society, in their villages. Then we have the Islamic type of law. The Islamic type of law is otherwise known as the Sharia law. The Sharia law. Its main source is the Quran. The main source for this Sharia law is the Quran, and of course, the Hadith. The Hadith. We also have the English customary law. The English customary law, they are the decisions of the courts of the English, which are now either persuasive or binding on the Nigerian courts. This is known as the English customary law. Next is the Nigerian case law. That means the decision of Nigerian court law, which have attained the force of law. These are the Nigerian case law, which the court's decision, which have attained the force of the law, has attained the force of the law. We're still talking about the components of the Nigerian law. Now we're going to look at the types of law, that is the categories of law in Nigeria. The category laws are divided into categories, and law can be divided into public and private law. We have public and private law. We have the civil and the criminal law. All these laws we have itemized. They are either public law or private law. Then we have the civil law and the criminal law. We also have the common law and the equity, common law and equity. We have substantive law and we have the sectoral law. We have the municipal and the international law. The municipal and the international law. We have the municipal and international law. These are the categories of law we use in Nigeria. And let me ask you, can you discuss with a friend your own understanding, the components of Nigerian law? After this lesson, after this class, I would actually love that you will go out, discuss with any of your colleagues the components of the Nigerian law. That is the kind of law in use in Nigerian society. Okay, I'd like you to do that, and when you do that, I'd like you to post it to your discussion forum. And of course, all I'm talking about here is already there in your, it's updated and uploaded in e-learn site. So that if you have missed anyone, you can also go there to revise it, look at it, and learn more about what we are talking about. We're going to look at the virtues, the vices in Nigerian society. Vices in Nigerian society. What does it mean? And of course, the opposite of vice is what? Virtue. Virtue or future. And these vices in the society, in other words, can be said to be immorality, immoral things, or wrongdoing, or wrong things, or wickedness, wicked things, or bad things that cannot be done in society, that is abhorred, that is not acceptable at all in our Nigerian society. Because we are human beings, we are supposed to abide by the laws of the land and that of our society. Well, vices in Nigerian society includes nepotism, tribalism, bribery, and of course, corruption. You know, these things are bad. In the face of human beings, they are bad, even in the face of God. That is why Nigerian society will not want to hear it at all. And the reasonable human beings also will not want to hear these things. They are vices, they are fault, they are wickedness, they are out of wickedness in the society today, which is not condoned by anybody, cannot be condoned. Okay, want to look at factors that are responsible for such vices. There must be factors that are responsible for wicked acts in the society, or wrongdoing in the society, or the vices we notice in the society today. And such factors that are responsible for such things, well, some people will say unemployment is one of those things. Unemployment is one of the causes of these wicked things that is happening in society today. I don't know if you agree with me. If you agree, I would also want you to discuss with a friend or a colleague or even a family member. Find out from them, interview some people, ask them, what do you think our causes are responsible for the wrong things, all these things we are hearing in the society today, which ordinarily is not supposed to be there. I'd like you to go and find out more of such causes. And also, we were told that overpopulation is also an act that is responsible for such vices in our society today. Overpopulation. How can overpopulation be responsible for wicked acts that is happening in our society today? I want you to also find out at the end of this lesson. We're told, we read also that the poor economy is part of these vices, a part of the cause of the vices. Poor economy, people say that the economy is bad. Is it true? Did he reach you? The economy is bad. That's what people are saying. And if the economy is bad, they are saying it's one of the causes of things that are responsible for such wicked things we are noticing in the society today. People have also said that mismanagement of our resources by the government personnel is part of the factors that are responsible for the vices we notice in our society today. Some people say that it is poor salaries paid to workers. That workers, their wages are no longer, enough for them. Because of this poor salaries, people misbehave, people are corrupt, people take bribe, people, do a lot of wicked, all manner of things. Do you agree with that? Having said that, we want to look into personality of a teacher as it were. For one to be a teacher today in our society, what does that mean? And what are the kinds of behavior expected of a teacher? How would you see a teacher? How would you see someone? Maybe someone just passed you. You look back and you say, is it possible to say, this man must be a teacher? Or are there some kinds of behavior one is big in society today, and you say, no, this man must be a teacher, or this woman must be a teacher? Okay, we are going to look at the personality of the teacher as it affects pupils' morality, students' morality, and the rest of it. Well, we're saying that the teacher, for him or her to be responsible, to have a good personality, that he must dress well. By the way someone dresses, you say that this teacher is responsible. An ideal teacher dresses modestly. He must be modest in dressing. Then there's this comportment. One will speak and you say, this must be a teacher. A teacher is expected to be of good behavior and comport himself very well or herself before the student, if no other thing. The teacher's comportment is part of the personality of the teacher we are looking at. Then a good teacher must have good command of English language to be able to communicate with the student. Since English is the lingua franca in Nigeria, for a teacher to be responsible, he must at least have that good command of English language. And we also told that a teacher must be reliable and cooperative. A teacher is supposed to be reliable and is supposed to cooperate with the fellow teachers, supposed to also cooperate with the students or with the pupils, supposed to be of very good and sound behavior. A teacher must be sincere and honest. A teacher is supposed to be very patient with the student. A teacher is supposed to be firm in his actions and behavior. He must be of a firm character. A teacher must be kind and cautious. A teacher is also supposed to be healthy. For a teacher to handle the class well, to teach well, and to exhibit other behavior expected of a teacher, he must be healthy. That is one of the qualities of a good teacher. A teacher must be pleasant in appearance and consistently update his skills. A teacher that remains where he was yesterday is not a good teacher. If you are a teacher, you are supposed to read ahead of your student. Do other research so that you can be updated. And to the extent you are updated, you will also update your students. And one of the personalities of a teacher who must communicate moral education to the children or to the student is that the teacher must be able to communicate that moral very, very well to the children. How do you communicate this morality to the students? How do you communicate it? Well, first, in the schools today, you notice that there is this worship session that go on every morning. If it is a Christian school, the moral instruction go on in school. They use the Bible. And if it is an Islamic school, they also do moral instruction and they use the Quran. You can also communicate moral or religion education through the activities that go on in school. You can also discipline the students. Why disciplining the student? You are communicating that religion and moral education. You can also do that through the law of USP to these children. Teach them to love one another. Teach them to be obedient and respectful. And to that extent, you are communicating the religion and moral education to them. You can also do that through formal religious instruction that go on in the school. There are principles and methods of teaching morality in schools. The principles and methods of teaching religion and moral education in schools include that students have to be punctual to lessons. They have to be punctual in class. The students, you have to inculcate into students that consciousness of going anywhere on time. If you have meeting, you must make sure that the student, you have to be on time. 12 o'clock is 12 o'clock. 5 is 5. These are some of the ways you communicate this moral and religion education into students. Also, students must be adequately prepared as listed in Unit 4. When you get back, I assume that you have this model. You have this material we are using. If you have it, you look at Unit 4. When you go to Unit 4, you will see section 3.2. In fact, it's in page 23 of our model. When you get there, you will see some of these listed, some of these things listed there. And you will learn better. The next thing we are talking about here is that the teacher's role in academic development of the child. What are the teacher's roles? What are the roles expected of a teacher to improve the academic development of the students? What are the teacher's roles? Some of the roles include children should have the teacher should have a very clear knowledge of the objective of any lesson he wants to teach before teaching that lesson. He must have a very clear knowledge of the objective. What objective do you have in mind in teaching, in delivering any topic? The teacher must also prepare the lesson very well before going to the class. And if you're doing this, you're also instilling that instruction into the ambit, into the students. These are some of the ways of, the roles the teacher play in class to improve the academic development of the child. The teacher must also provide positive motivation. He must positively, encourage the student. How do you encourage the student positively? How do you instill that role into the student? If a student, for instance, you pose a question and a student answers that question very well, what do? You reinforce that child. Oh, class, this is beautiful. Can we applaud this child? They clap for that child. We're motivating that child. Next time, that child will be able to raise his hand. And he knows that when he raises his hand, it gladdens your heart. And that you will not be able to shout down at that student. You won't shout down at the student. If you do that, you're killing the moral of that person, of the student. Students want to be motivated. And these are some of the things, roles a teacher play in academic development of the students. And doing that, you're communicating moral education into these students. You're communicating the morality we expected of the teacher into the student. We also expect the teacher to provide opportunity for active learning in class. A teacher is supposed to be the first to enter the class every morning. Set your class and make sure that everything is in order before the children will enter the class. And when you do that, you're giving the student the opportunity for active learning. Remember that there are individual differences. You have to take note of the individual differences you notice in students. Some of them are slow learners, some catch whatever you say faster than others. What do you do? How will you carry those ones that are slow learners along? As a good teacher who knows his or her work, you know what to do to carry them along. When you go from time to time, you can come back and ask your question, evaluate your class, check those that are not catching up. You can also devise some means of making them to catch up with others. You use methods that can carry these ones along. There are methods, different kinds of methods we use in school. Have variety and variation. If you use this method, it doesn't work. You try the other method. And you don't let any student down. You don't want others to laugh at the other student. You make sure you follow them sequentially until they catch up. These are some of the unique roles a teacher play in class. And while you are doing this, you are embedding, you are instilling this moral education, moral religion into the student. Remember that in Christian school, they use the Bible. In Islamic school, they use the Quran. And you make sure that your children, it depends on what level you're taking them, are able to, read well, communicate well with them, and make sure that you know that communication is a two-way thing. It flows. When you communicate, if the person is able to reply you and you are in agreement, to that extent, you know that the communication is flowing. If you make a statement and you look at the faces of the student, if it doesn't flow, you will not know, no, something must be done. You have to decode whatever coded language you use. We are still talking about the roles, academic roles of teachers in the development of children in moral education. We also have to look at the individual differences in the methods. Remember that a method that favors one student may not be able to favor the other. So we take care of these students by applying such methods that will make all of them to follow. Make sure you evaluate your lesson, ask questions. From time to time, you restart the lesson again. That is why it is not only at the end of every lesson that you must achieve the stated objective. Stated objective. Yes, you must go ahead to make sure that your students go along with you, they communicate well with you. When you communicate well with them, they flow, they tend to flow with you. And if your students are asked to rate you as a teacher. They will rate you well. They rate your personality. Remember that today is Saturday, and our classes start by 5 p.m. And on Tuesdays, we start by 11 to 12 p.m. Please, I would like you to go back to the model from Model 1, Unit 1. Read them, revise them, and make sure you're doing your TMA, particularly now that TMA 1 is almost over. Be sure that you also connect to your classmates, share your phone numbers with one another, and make sure that whichever one you don't hurt your knowledge, share with one another. We have said that this course is a 200 level course and it has 3 models. Out of that 3 models, you have 15 units in there. So I would like you to go back to Unit 1 of Model 1 and read up, because you know you're going to write this course on the system. It's going to be a computer-based system. All you need to know is how to move your mouse, and click to go to the next one. I know that you are enjoying the lesson. We're going to meet again on Tuesday by 11 to 12 p.m. All we have been talking about since we started is components of Nigerian laws, a means of communicating moral education in schools. We looked at the components, these kinds of law in Nigeria. We have the 7 of them, 7 kinds of law in Nigerian society. We have the customary law, we have the Islamic law, you have the English customary law, you have the status of Nigerian application law, you have the doctrine of equity, you have the Nigerian case law, you also have the Nigerian legislation. These are the kinds of law we have in Nigeria. Then we have types of law, that is categories of law in Nigerian society. The categories, and we say that the Nigerian law is divided into public and private law. We have the civil and the criminal law. We have the common law and the equity, common law and equity. We have substantive law and procedural law. Substantive and procedural law. We have the municipal and international law. We have the municipal and international law. Remember the assignment I gave you? I asked you to discuss with a friend or a colleague or whoever your understanding of the components of Nigerian law. You can post that to your discussion page, and let's see what your other colleagues will say about it. Remember also that we talked about the vices in Nigerian society. These are the wrong things, the immoral behavior and the wicked things that are banned in society today. One of them we say is nepotism, tribalism. You're not from my place, from this place. Is that good? We also have bribery and, of course, corruption. We also discuss the factors that are responsible for such wrong things that go on in the society today. One of it we say is unemployment. We also talked about overpopulation as factors that are responsible for vices in Nigerian society today. We talk of poor economy. Nigerian economy, people say, is very poor, and as such, it's among the factors that are responsible for such vices we are seeing in Nigerian society today. Of course, some people say it's because of the mismanagement of our resources by our government, those that are representing us. And some people say because of poor salaries and bad government. We agree with that. Then we looked at the personalities of a teacher and how it affects people's morality. We have said that teachers' dressing affects the morality of the children. We said that the comportment of a teacher contributes. We said a teacher who doesn't have good command of English or a teacher that has a good command of English contributes to pupils' morality. We say that a teacher that is reliable and cooperative is also part of it. And we say that teachers must be sincere, honest, patient, firm, kind, and cautious. And that a teacher must be healthy. And a teacher is also supposed to be pleasant in looking. And a teacher must be consistently update his or her skill. The teacher is supposed to update himself every day, improve on what you know. Read other things that are taking over old things in society today so that you'll be able to flow in this present century. We now look at the means of communicating religion and moral education into students, and we said you can do that through worship, you can do that through school activities, through discipline, through love, through obedience, through respect of humankind, and formal religious instruction. We also say that there are principles and methods of teaching morality and religion in society today. That one has to be punctual. A teacher who teaches that must be punctual in class, must be punctual in his class or her class. You must be conscious of time when you're teaching. You must be conscious of time. If the particular lesson is supposed to last for 1 hour, you don't spend 2 hours on it. You have to be conscious of your time. A teacher has to be adequately prepared for a lesson. The teacher has to, and there are so many others which I invite you to go back to our model and look at unit 4. All of that unit 4, in fact, page 23 talks about the principles and methods of teaching morality and religion in schools today. Teachers, we look at the teacher's role. Some teachers, play the kind of roles that is not appropriate. And if you exhibit such role, then of course there's no way you can instill that morality into students. And that is why we hammer on the role of a teacher, the academic roles that teachers play in the academic development of children or students in schools. And we are saying that a teacher should have clear knowledge of their objective before they come to the class. They should have clear knowledge of the objective of the lesson. They must prepare for the lesson. They must provide positive motivation to make the lesson flow, to drive the lesson home. They must also provide opportunity for active learning. Then take care of individual differences. And of course, must be able to apply variety and direction in their method of teaching. This is how we're going to end it for today until we meet again on Tuesday by 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Tuesday. And have it again same time on Saturday. For now, I've been your facilitator, Dr. Angela Abba. I hope you have been able to grab one or two things and enjoy the lesson. Bye for now.